Welcome back everyone for another Evertale video. So today we're doing a should you summon for Lancelot. So let's just get into it and look at our kit. So Lancelot is a new storm stealth unit. So it's like stun and stealth. And so just looking at our kit, swift stealth it's really good. It's quick, easy, gives stealth, and this is actually going to be really important for her later on. Royal, just with how her passives work with her active skills. Royal Swift Slash is essentially kind of like a time strike that also it gives you stealth and it gives you spirit. So I think that's really good. That's just a plus overall, because time strike is already strong because of the percent ratios, and on top of that, you gain stealth, and it doesn't cost you spirit, but it gains you spirit. So that's gonna be really big in her like her ability to kind of like chain into different attacks and just be able to keep using skills and attacking, because it actually gains spirit for her. Stealth Avenger is, again, it's a really good skill. It's like Stealth Strike, but better because it ramps up to 600%, which is even higher if the enemy defeated one or more units. So it's a stealth attack that just does even more damage if an ally was killed. Oh yeah, also with Royal Swift Slash, another reason why it's even better than normal Time Strike is that it ignores whatchamacall. I think it ignored. Yeah. It ignores damage reduction. So it's a time strike that ignores damage reduction, gives you spirit, and it gives you stealth. So that's all really, really good. And like her entire kit, there's so many like skills that are just pretty much power crept and just crazy insane. Instant stun might be like one of the craziest things. It just seems so broken, because stun is so valuable that like TU and like being able to stun a unit for 200 is super impactful. It's almost like a guarantee that whoever you stun is gonna die. Like they have very little chance of surviving because of, one, her time strike skill that's enhanced, on top of the rest of the team going to possibly attack the unit that got stunned before they can act again. But what makes it even more broken is that it costs 1 to you, so you can instantly use another attack right after you get stunned. And typically, like the quickest stuns that you can do are usually only like 50 or 100 to you, and then even those, like they have drawbacks, or like they have it's not 1 to you. It's usually like maybe like 100 or 70 or so if it's, I think, a blood stun. So like that alone is so crazy to me that all of this is in one character. And on top of that, I don't know, Deadly Momentum seems like it might be like the most broken skill I can think of, is when you defeat an enemy, you get another turn. So essentially, you could just keep killing enemies over and over and over, and they never get a turn, ever. Theoretically. And that alone is insane. On top of that, it gives a Endure, which is like a hold ground, but this is a conditional hold ground. So like I think this is what makes her like almost perfectly broken, is because that hold ground is a conditional if she is able to kill an enemy. And this is really big because hold ground is really important for units, like stun units that utilize like a counter, which is her regen counter skin, which we're getting into next. Which is, again, it's insane. Like, it's everything you could possibly want in a unit. You have a skin passive that's a counter skin, and only very few units have counter skin, which is already really, really good. She has regen included in her counter skin, and she ignores defense. Like, she has stealth. She has stun, like, and all of her skills are they're just really good. Like, I don't know what to say. Like, I think personally this could be like the most broken unit ever. Like, her skills don't cost that much to you. The instant stun is instant. The amount of spirit that it's cost is only one for stealth adventure. The other two actually give you spirit, and instant stun 3 spirit is again, it's more than like her other things, but the value that you get out of that 3 spirit is like it's always gonna be valuable. And even though AI is like bad and it's pretty stupid, it's not gonna stun an enemy that can't be stunned. Like, especially if it's an active skill. If it's like a passive entry skill, it might happen, but because of it's an active skill, I don't think AI is going to actually actively try to stun something that you can't. So again, I think it's just automatically going to give you value, and it's going to be really, really beneficial. So the only thing that is holding her back like a little bit, I would say, is her conditional hold ground, because of it, it makes her not necessarily as kind of like noob friendly, where you can't just you actually have to invest a decent amount into her for her to function as you want her to. Because with hold ground, like, no matter how strong an attack, you're gonna survive with 1 HP. And then you'd want to counter skin, get HP back, and then do it all again. But because the hold ground's conditional, you want to have invested in her a bit more than typical. And it's also because of her stats. Her stats, she's pretty like mid for like attack and HP, which isn't bad because of her conditional hold ground. Because if she did have like a normal hold ground all the time, then you'd definitely want her to be a glass cannon, where she just kills all the time and you don't have to worry about her getting hit because she's gonna live on 1 HP. So her like in between like decent middle kind of HP and attack isn't necessarily that bad, but it's mainly the conditional hold ground. So yeah, the way that I see her working is she's going to instant stun if she can, like the first turn probably, and then she's going to swift stealth, and if she cannot already royal swift slash, and then after that just stealth avenger or royal swift slash. And then the way I see her, like, essentially the main way to, I guess, get killed or kill her is if you, well, one, her hold ground, her deadly momentum endure finishes, and like pretty much you kill her before she can get her deadly momentum, and she can't get her hold ground. But like if she's highly invested, then she's gonna be really, really hard to kill. And if she's getting kills herself, yeah, she's gonna like re-trigger her hold ground, and she's gonna be really hard to kill. So I think she's gonna be a really, really good high investment unit. And yeah, like I'm just gonna compare her to some of the other units that we have already. So the main ones I'm gonna look at are, there's 2 of them. it's Mizuichi, because she has Hold Ground and Counter Skin and Time Drain Plus. So her thing is, she again also has Counter Skin. She has Hold Ground, which is actually much better because she will get hit, she'll go to 1 HP. Because of her Counter Skin, she will usually be able to Time Drain because 100 TU is older generation, everyone was over 100 TU. Newer generation units, it's some are under, some are over, so it's like sometimes it'll work and she can heal herself again. But if you pair her with other teammates that can heal her, as long as it's above her Hold Ground threshold, she doesn't care if you get hit again. Unless, well, technically if you get poisoned, or burned. But yeah, essentially the main thing is like her Hold Ground is huge. It's very key in her survival and your ability to not invest in her like very heavily, but she can still work really well as long as essentially she has Spirit to use Time Drain. And then the other unit is Antares, and she's similar where she has attack counter instead of a Counter Skin. So she gets attacked, she survives on 1 HP because of Hold Ground. Her way of survival is partially because of her stun skin, and this stuns everyone else on the enemy team for 50 TU, which is actually really, really good, and it makes her really hard to kill. And then after that, she typically has Thunderheart, and it'll stun the enemy for even more. And it's just a lot of stuns and survival, and she can, like with her attack and counter, Hold Ground, stun, and Thunderheart, that gives her full HP. She's a really hard character to kill before her Survivor skill triggers, and she loses her skin skill passive. Yeah. Okay, so in my opinion, I think the best units to pair with her are going to be well, I'm actually going to summon for her on several teams. I'm going to summon for her on my Survivor team, which I have right now, my Poison team, my Sleep team, and I'm gonna fully awaken her on the Stealth account. So the reason why I'm summoning for her on the Survivor team is mainly because of Tiamat, actually. Because of her Genesis skill, she can supply a lot of spirit to her, and because of these Mori, pretty much I'm thinking of her as like a stealth unit. They want guards. Like guards and stealth units, like they go together. Like they are the best friends of stealth units. And because she can summon like 7 to 10 of them like really fast right away, it can essentially prolong the fight, and it prolong her ability to attack, as well as the Stealth Avenger, which will make her hit even harder when the enemy starts killing all the Mori off. It's not ideal and like the best strategy, like I acknowledge that, because of like if there's another Lancelot and they have deadly momentum, they'll like kill all your Mori. If they have anything with a Savage, like Savage Drain, Savage anything, that's like a huge free Savages. Savage, yeah, just all the Savages. So it's not necessarily the best strategy, but I think it's just fun. And like the main point is just she goes really well with guards. And the other one I wanted to play around with is on my Poison team. I'm gonna summon her because I have Antares and I have Mizuichi on my Poison account, and I also have Dark Alice, and all of them, like all 4 of them, have some sort of like counter skill, instant poison drain with Dark Alice or instant stun. Plus they're all, the 3 of them are stun units, and I think it'd just be really annoying to fight against, which means to me it'd be really fun to play. So it might not be the best strategy, but I feel like it's going to be a lot of fun to play. And in terms of like an actual good strategy, I think her best person to pair with is going to be on my sleep team. Like, this is outside of the typical standard stun, like full stun or full stealth teams, because like my stealth team, I fully awakening her, which obviously means she's going to go really good on stealth teams. She's going to be really good on stun teams, but I'm getting her on my sleep team because of Water Colin. And if you're trying to, like, I guess, like, fully, like, you want her to be a huge hyper carry, like, she is the one unit that you want to fully invest in. You really love the idea, the whole concept, everything, and you just need supports for Lancelot. I think the #1 person you're gonna want is Water Colin. The big reason, there's two big reasons, is because of spirit loot. Whenever you, like, anyone kills an enemy, like, you gain 1 spirit. And a big thing about Lancelot is her time strike is really good, but it's not reliable because they have to be over 100 to you in order to use it. Her stealth, on the other hand, I feel like is probably going to be much more reliable. But the thing is that it takes 1 spirit, and if you, like, hypothetically keep killing units on the enemy team because you fully invested her as a hyper carry and she kills everything, you're going to be running out of spirit eventually. But with Water Colin, you have spirit loot. So theoretically, in my head anyways, you could potentially wipe an entire team without them ever getting a turn. If, like, theoretically. I don't know how realistic it is, but theoretically. Like, the other team has to be pretty weak and have, like, no enemies with hold ground. But they probably would, but yeah. Theoretically, you could wipe an entire team with just these 2 units. And the other reason why I think Water Colin would be just incredible with Lancelot is because of Sleepy Sabotage. Like, you're not always guaranteed able to kill the enemy, but with Sleepy Sabotage, you exchange them with an imposter, you push them out, and you can kill this. Like, anyone can kill this. Like, it is meant to be killed, and it's meant to trigger, like, savage skills, or like Savage Force, or in Lancelot's case, her Endure and her instant Deadly Momentum passive, which gives her another turn. So if you kill the imposter from Sleepy Sabotage, which Water Colin, I've used her for a long time. She will always use Sleepy Sabotage. If she has the spirit to, she will always use it. So that's essentially a guarantee kill. That means it's a guarantee setup for at least 1 hold ground, as well as an instant another turn. And you get 1 spirit back because of the Sleepy Sabotage. So yeah, I think realistically, like, if you wanted Lancelot to be a hyper carry, I would say Water Colin and an actual good guard, because again, she's a stealth unit. Stealth units love guards. And another, like, potentially really good unit to pair with Lancelot, with, like, Water Colin and that guard, is actually another Colin, because she has minion loot. And minion loot is essentially the same thing as spirit loot, but with minions. And the reason why or Storm Colin is because they're both storm units, and this Colin can also stun with using those minions. And so just feeding more stun for stun units is pretty self-explanatory. And like, they can both utilize the stun, and it can be really hard for the enemy to do some sort of move or attack or retaliate when they are so far stunned that they can't do anything and they can't move. Plus you're hitting them with really hard attacks like Time Assassin, and that also ignores damage reduction. But if you don't want to, you don't like, I think Storm Colin is good, but if I had to pick between the two, I think Water is definitely way better pairing with Lancelot, because yeah, Spirit Loop has so much more potential, especially with the Sleepy Sabotage. Okay, so after all that, let's get into it and let's